let's see. I think that's when we finished getting all the monsters. Like we fought all the things in our separate little places. We finished fighting the flail snails, and Ebord finished dealing with like that massive what was it called? The shambling mound. Yeah. And Roman was stuck in a giant fly trap thing. Everyone got what they needed. We brought it to the druid, and apparently it was just for some food. Uh, After the fact, it was storming. We finished eating and staying for basically the duration of the storm. And I went back and brought back the two flail snail shells to this druid. And what we left off, she was gonna do something even better than what I asked, which apparently was to shrink them down. So I'm curious to see what she's gonna do, or it, they, him, whatever.
Okay. Was there anything else that Garen might have missed?
No, I think that was mostly it. It's just mostly was the encounters, if I remember.
Yes, it was mainly combat.
I mean, besides the fact that that blackjack also now has a magic horn and took some freaking lightning to the face.
Yes.
Alright, I'm just doing some reading here, and then we'll get started.
Was that session ever posted in the recaps, by the way? I don't remember.
It did not, because when it recorded, it didn't record the audio from my microphone.
Oh.
And I mean, I guess I could upload it, but it wouldn't be the most helpful, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I fixed it today, and I've verified that it is indeed working. Yeah, apologies, that was my fault.
I was just wondering, just double check some stuff later, but yeah.
Alright. So we find ourselves still in the cave. Who flew out into the thunderstorm? Or, no, it's no longer a thunderstorm because...
Yeah, we came back because she cleared it up.
Exactly. Everyone's still in the cave then?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm still up there.
Yeah.
Remind me, Blackjack, what you were up to and kind of what's going through your character's mind right now.
I think Blackjack is just sitting atop the trees looking at the sunrise, just for the first time in a while, just not being angry, trying to chill.
Okay,
So
your fly spell at this point has now worn off. It is the dawn of the third day.
So are you in the air right now?
No, I thought when I was in the air I got shot by lightning, so I went and sat on one of the big trees.
Okay, yeah, you did. I was about to say, it's like, if you're flying right now, you're gonna fall.
What I did was I rolled a d10, and if you got a 1, you would be shocked by lightning. And you ended up getting a 1 on that roll.
DM's luck.
I know, right? It's on the stream, because everything that shows up on my end is on the screen, so you could potentially read ahead and see what's kind of going on in my notes.
Wait, you're streaming this? Did I miss something?
I recorded and I put it on YouTube.
Oh. Full disclosure, I have been up since, like, yesterday, 6 a.m., and I have had a 1 hour nap, and I've just woken up.
Okay.
So I'm a bit out of it.
Not a problem. This will be a lot more chill session. It's going to be just kind of more talking, introducing characters when they finally show up.
Oh.
And if you want to just take the back seat, you can just kind of listen in. That's totally fine. Um, not a problem.
I never take the back seat.
uh, the stranger turns to you, Garen, and you, Ibor, and she says, "Thank you for helping me. Others have come before and have decided that their interests uh, are more important than the needs of others. And for this, I will repay you. Um, speak, and if it is within my power, I will help you on what you ask for."
Well, what I asked last time was for these two flail snail shells to be shrunk down, but she said she could do something even better, apparently.
She nods and uh, she rummages through a chest that you see in the back of her little humble abode, tucked away in the corner of this large room that once must have been, like a meeting room of some sort, uh, just based on the auditorium style of the architecture. And she opens it up, and she pulls out what looks to be a dull shield, in the low light, and she hands it to you, and she says, "I made this for a young adventurer years ago, but he never returned to claim it, and I fear that he never will." And she gives it to you.
Oh. And like I look at it, I graciously accept your gift. Um, hmm. Like I look it over. So it's just a shield, right?
Except it's made out of pure vibranium.
I got Captain America shield.
It's red, white,
It's
and
the
blue,
toughest
and there's
metal known to man.
a 5-point star in the middle. No, it's
What you're holding there, that's all we got.
it is it's round. It's perfectly round. That is the only similarity between that and Captain America's shield. But as you hold it and you examine it, it kind of catches the light of the torches or sconces or whatever sources of light are kind of going on in this chamber, and it shimmers, and refracts light, and you even see rainbows and light being split from one color element to another, as it dazzles the eyes. And this is just in the low torchlight. Imagine if it was in full sunlight, And this essentially is a shield made from the shell of a flail snail.
Oh, okay. So flail snail shield.
It's extremely heavy.
Yeah, it weighs 9,000 pounds. No, it's
Even...
let's see here. Well, flail snail shell weighs 250 pounds, and a skilled armor can make 3 shields from one spell. So that's about 80 pounds for the shield, I think, mathematically. No, you can pick it up. It's quite light, actually. It's it's quite strong. You imagine to be quite impervious to damage.
Okay.
And I'll let you figure out what the flail snail shield does.
Okay.
It's old, so it's not as good as a brand new one, but I'm sure it'll be a lot more useful than a full blown flail snail shell.
Well, I appreciate the gift, but like, also, does it change my AC at all, or is it just the same AC as a normal shield?
I think it's the same AC of a normal shield. It does have magical properties though.
Yeah, I figured. I think I have an idea what it does. Uh, but yeah, okay. So doesn't increase my AC. Okay, so I don't have to change anything. All right. Hmm. turn to her and I say, again, I'm gracious for this shield as I basically leave. I put the other shield in my bag and I just put it on my arm and I just say, I would be willing to leave one of these with you as return. And I want to know, but I really appreciate taking one of these with me, cause I wish to bring it to someone.
She nods and um, she says, "It is not in my power to reduce the weight of this object permanently. I can do it for a short while, but you can leave it with me and return whenever you wish to pick it up."
Hmm. And I say, very well.
She says, "I have no need for it, and in return, I can provide a collateral. Um, what is it you are missing, young adventurer?"
Garen thinks for a second. And he says, I trust you enough that I can leave this with you. I'm not one to judge. I do not require anything else. The shield is more than enough.
She nods solemnly and wisely and turns to you, Ibor, and she says, "What about you, young wizard? What do you desire?"
Well, I desire quite a bit, but any other extraneous pieces of arcana you might have lying around would be delightful. Scraps of scrolls, trinkets, anything of the sort would be interesting to me.
She rummages through the chest and pulls out a vial. It appears empty, but she shakes it and swirls it a bit and uncorks it and turns it over. And it indeed, it is empty. There's nothing in it. She was just verifying that. She reaches into her cloak and pulls out a small blue knife and runs it across the flat of her palm and makes a fist, squeezing dark black blood into the vial. And she doesn't seem to make a reflex or flinch from the pain at all. Once it's full, you see her hand glows a dull green, and she corks it with her free hands and hands it to you. And she says, "Spells I do not have, but what this will do will be able to copy down any useful arcana that you come across in your travels. I know not how much the blood will carry, but what I have here is yours." And she gives it to you. And essentially you'll be able to use it as magical ink to write in spells into your spell scrolls.
I nod while transfixed by the vial.
And you see as she puts away the knife, that her hand with a large slash in it is completely whole and undamaged.
That's interesting. That's pretty metal. Blood ink. Okay.
Ibor, you notice it, and you see that it's not like a traditional ink. You see it is like a darker color, kind of like a very dark green mixed with maroon, and it seems to hum with energy very lightly. Only you can feel it and sense it with your arcane wizard intuition. She turns to you and kind of brings her hands together so that her fingers touch at the points and thumbs, and she says, "What about your third friend? He seemed troubled. I hope I didn't drive him away too much.
Oh, Blackjack? He's a stubborn one, and, he's been looking to get rid of this problem of his for a while now. As far as I could tell when traveling with him. I'm sure he'll come around eventually. I saw him leave last night, just simply staying around the area and just simply just sitting around outside, I'm sure.
She points across the room at a statue and she says, "That person I found in the jungle outside my home one night. He was in that form when I found him. I haven't been able to return him to flesh and blood. But what I have ascertained is that he is still conscious, unable to move or talk. His existence is a perpetual nightmare."
Do I recognize this person?
Go ahead and give me an intelligence check.
All right. -1 to intelligence, go!
Yes. Sick.
You do not.
It's not even on that one. It was a 2.
Yep.
Sorry.
You do suspect that this person, this statue, has been there for quite some time, as the edges have been worn down and it is no longer quite as lifelike. Had you come across it, you would have suspected that it was a traditional statue. And you suspect it's been there for some centuries. And she turns to you and says, "Things could always be worse."
I am aware. I wish I could help this person, but I don't know really much magic.
I've tried many a time, and I believe whatever this person has done perhaps should not be returned to the form he was before. Only the gods can judge his fate. She says, "Speaking of gods and spirits, I can attempt to converse with them. If you all have one pressing question, come up with it. I will invoke the deities and the nature spirits of the jungle of Schultz. Whether or not they are truthful, tricksy, or unresponsive, I cannot say."
Garen thinks for a second, and he's like, "Cause Garen's not one much for religion. Do I have to say a specific god, or is it just simply with a question?"
Just a question.
Alright. I guess my main concern is, did all my friends make it to the port city? Rana and Tiero, all of them.
She looks up a little bit. Her eyes roll back in her head. Her hands raise, fingers upright and apart. You see Ebor, you notice a faint aura of energy about her. And she rises about 3 inches off the ground. Her cloak kind of billowing in a breeze that doesn't exist on this plane of existence. Her mouths move, but no sound comes out. And then you see her just kind of standing. She doesn't seem aware of your existence at this point. And then she speaks. Her voice is tinged with layers of voices of octaves higher and octaves lower, overlapping and layering upon each other. And she says, "Your friends are safe. They are in the port city now. I see them here before me."
He sighs in relief. Okay. Thank you. And he thinks for a second. Would it be possible to send them a message from here?
I'm afraid that is beyond the scope of my abilities.
It was worth a shot, I suppose. Thank you.
She's still hovering there. Ibor, do you have anything pressing?
To say no, I don't think so.
For tonight, I'm going to speak and play for Roman's character. Roman has been quiet this whole time, just kind of taking this whole scene in, and
oh yeah, speaking of Roman, I begin to shove everything of the bag of holding back in, because we emptied that shit to get the shelf.
Okay.
Oh yeah, wait.
Roman is going to cast message to Blackjack, kind of telling him what's all going on, and he says, "I don't know what you're up to, and I don't know what state of being or what you're kind of going through, but something's happening back at the cave. You should get back for it."
Alright. I'm gonna say one last goodbye to the sunrise, and I'm gonna attempt to climb down. I'm gonna attempt to float back down.
As you attempt to float back down, you notice the wings. Remind me what your wings looked like again?
Like the unicorn pink wings, feathery.
Oh,
long,
for sure.
Lustrous, beautiful, sparkly.
You attempt to mentally conjure them, and they do appear, but they are quite translucent and seem to be losing their strength as the sun's light rises from the horizon.
I'll nosedive off the top of this tree.
Okay.
This can't end badly, guys. Blackjack kills himself at the start of the session.
Go ahead and
Snaps
roll
his
me.
neck.
Go ahead and roll me a dexterity save.
Watch this. You
I'm
guys
just
know what it
I'm just
is.
fucking with you.
Dex save. Oh,
Oh, he rolled a 20.
got him. Duck and roll.
Kind of pushing the limits of the spell. You know, you're figuring you're running on fumes. You're just kind of like, with all post haste, because you don't want to walk through the jungle. You're just like dodging and dipping and weaving through the branches, and very roller coaster like. It is quite impressive.
Yes.
Using the this timer as motivation to kind of push the limits of recklessness a little bit, but you managed to get back to the cave in one piece.
I was informed that there was something happening.
I point to the druid.
The druid's just been in this trance this whole time.
You can ask her a question, and apparently she can answer something with the gods' help.
Like any question?
I suppose.
This is kind of private.
I sigh, fine.
So, can you turn around? Maybe,
I stand on near the entrance of the cave.
Roman sighs audibly and kind of walks off and examines. He kind of helps putting things back into the bag of holding.
Wait, is Vasat still here?
Azaka. Oh, Azaka. I always forget about her. Azaka. You kind of look at her. She was just kind of sitting so patiently, cat-like, on the ground. She was so still and silent that Everyone kind of forgot about her. Um,
She's
you,
the rest of
Blackjack, you kind of forget about her too, and then you realize she has this like way of like sneaking up on people because she's so cat-like and quiet. You mentally remind yourself, oh yeah, Azak is here, and you turn and she's like sitting right next to you.
She's mastered the art of remaining so still that she's invisible to the eye.
Exactly. Imperceptible. And she kind of looks up at you, smiles a little bit, and saunters off.
Right. I just very gently go over to Ivor and put some of my earplugs into his ears, and I go, shh. And I, as he's reading, I then go up to the druid and I say, the man who killed my mentor Farron.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was my friend. That was my friend calling.
And it got a lot more intense.
And suddenly Magnus, Taco, and Merle charge in.
Oh, you recognize my ringtone?
Yes, I love the Adventure Zone.
Oh, it's pretty great.
What?
A podcast. I'm sorry, I'm totally ruining your very dramatic moment.
No, it's fine. You can take this call.
No. My freaking brother can't make it, and he's calling me, and he's probably like, dude, don't introduce my character without me. Oh, there he is again. Alright, I'm gonna put this on push to talk. Give me 1 second. I'm very sorry.
Yeah, he's DMing right now.
Will our heroes make it out of this cave alive? Tune in next time in the Adventure Zone.
Okay.
I love that podcast so much.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead, Blackjack.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Brian, your friend's online. No.
The man who killed my mentor Farron.
No.
I know
Just
that
play
he's
along.
dead,
Just play along.
but I never found out who he was working for. If there's anything that you can tell me about his organization, or if it was just a random act of murder, then
He can't talk
Please.
right now. But he says that you should just get on.
Her mouth moves silently again and stops as if listening to
Yeah,
some
he can't
unknown
talk right
force.
now 'cause he's like in the middle of a prose, but
And
you should get on.
she turns towards you with her pupilless eyes that have completely turned black. And she says, he was part of the Red Wizards of Thay. They are an organization that seeks power and control over life and death. Your master knew too much and was a threat that had to be disposed. You may ask one follow-up question.
these Red Wizards, who is their leader and where can I find them?
Alright, give me 1 second
Might be two questions in one.
to build.
Yeah, that might be two
Give me one-
in one. You might not be able to get one or the other.
Let me
Who's the leader of them?
let me build some
Of
tension
these Red Wizard
by
fellows?
looking up. Yes, dog.
I told you.
Silence tells many things.
Let me look this up to build suspense real quick.
As the heavenly forces pull out their notes and like look through.
You look into her jet black eyes and you see a small rotating circle of dots.
Left now loading. Now loading the Wikipedia page. Let's see, wet wizards and the Wikipedia links that go after it. Okay, let's see.
Gods are just Wikipedia and then
Wikipedia is the god of this world.
The gods don't recognize Wikipedia as a credible source.
Wikipedia god of trickery. Perfect.
In the meantime, I guess Ebor come up with a fun, spicy question. Okay, here we go. Doop doop doo. Here we go. All right. She turns to you and says, "The leader of the Red Wizards here in Schultz is Valinda Shadowmantle. She seeks to understand the death curse, the soulmonger, and the necromantic energies it provides."
What's her name again? I'm sorry.
I'll type it out for you.
I think I remember the last name was Shadowmantle.
Soulmonger?
The Soulmonger, you would know this, is an artifact that is stealing life from creatures and people that have been previously resurrected. They are slowly wasting away day by day, and creatures are no longer able to be resurrected. Anyone that's affected by this curse, those are the statistics, the conditions that are applied to them.
I'm sorry, just one more time, could you tell me the name of the artifact?
The Soulmonger. I'll type that in as well.
Soulmonger. There you go.
And that's what's causing the death plague?
Yes.
So we would know that, you said? I didn't know we were aware of that.
Everyone would know that through different reasons.
Alright.
You probably would have gained it by proxy. A mess.
Everyone in this group would have learned it through different reasons. Oh, my friend is being so annoying about connecting. Holy crap.
I ask her if they're looking for me.
God fucking damn it. He has 2 Discords usernames and it's so freaking annoying, and I sent it to one of them and he's like, and then he messages me on the second one, he's like, I never got it. Check your other fucking account. Jesus Christ.
Why would you have 2 Discords?
I don't know why he has 2 Discords, and they both have the same
In case you get banned
name.
on a server and you want to go back in that server and shitpost.
I guess, but they have the same name essentially.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What
They'll never know.
You'll never know. Which one is the real one?
It's so overt, it's covert.
Alright, give me 1 second.
It's like if you put on a pair of like Groucho glasses with like the fake mustache and like the glasses and all that. Like, this is the real me, and this is my disguise.
I don't know if there's teriyaki in this chicken, but there's this huge slice of avocado, and it's like right in my rice, and I don't know how to feel about it.
I could picture this as you're eating as well as Blackjack. Like Blackjack's just eating as she's telling you all this important information. It's like, so,
eating in rage.
God, who killed my master? So upset.
We're banging.
No, we're not. For real, Brian? Oh my god. Brian, why? Why?
Skeletor is just so popular. He's surrounded by people all day. He has to beat them off of him to come and play Dungeons and Dragons with us.
All right, Ebor, do you have
Tis true.
a question?
Yeah, I asked her if they're looking for me.
Ooh, suspicious.
She immediately replies, "Yes."
Well, I just look down. I don't say anything.
So mysterious.
Oh, I made you gotta turn around. Did you want me to leave before you asked that? I'm sorry, I didn't.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Roman, you see his hands are kind of twisting and wringing him a little bit. He seems nervous, and he seems like he has a lot of questions, and he's trying really hard to pick the right one. And eventually he clears his throat, kind of steps up next to you, Ebor, in between you, Blackjack, and he says, "Where is the soulmonger?"
I mean,
And
that's probably the best question you can ask.
Oh wait, shit, we're supposed to find that.
All of us asking these mundane questions like, where is my master's killer? How are my friends doing? Are they coming for me?
will I be rich when I grow up?
How's your day?
Miss Druid, will I ever get married?
You're like, how's your day? Good.
the god replies, "Good."
With this, her hands raised even higher, stretched out as of a cross, and her hair flies out and whips in a wild wind. You see she kind of releases this involuntary scream a little bit, and her eyes return, her pupils return, and they're just darting around wildly. Her legs thrash a little bit, and eventually stops. Her arms and her legs fall to her side. She's still hanging in the air, and descends the 6 feet that she had risen, and looks at you with a very somber face. It looks like she's been aged in that one moment, and looks towards Roman and the rest of you, and she says, "It is to the southwest of here. Approximately 200 miles. You should see it from the sky. A sunken city, consumed by flame and smoke. This information came at a great price. Keep it safe and share it with only those you love and trust."
Could you mark that on the map with a circle or something?
Absolutely.
Just general area, like we did with the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the little treasure map we found as well.
How do I draw?
Soulmonger is in a sunken city
It's
that's
in flames and ash.
flaming with a flare. Hot.
Filet mignon.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exclamation points.
And smoke. Don't forget the smoke.
Parentheses and smoke. Smiley face and parentheses.
Winky face.
Winky face.
Do y'all see that?
And then we're gonna do with the 3 mouth and not the parentheses mouth, because I used 2 parentheses in rapid succession and that looks gross.
So it looks like it's north of the land of ash and smoke, west of the peaks of flame, and east of the valley of lost horror.
I thought this said honor.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? That looked like 2 R's to me.
You know, close enough.
It's horror now. It's canon, so.
No, come on. I liked honor.
It's too late.
It's like the gods have spoken.
I mean, if anything, honor is more scary than horror.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Lost Horror, that must be the most pleasant place on planet Earth.
All right. Let me send you a Roll20 invite.
Gross.
Okay.
Thank you.
And upon realizing where the soulmonger is, you see kind of her face drops into despair, and she says, "Before you go on, I must warn you. That area belongs to a man. Well, he's no longer a man anymore. That territory belongs to Raz Nasi." And she kind of motions you all to sit down as she's going to kind of talk a little bit about this person.
Okay. Garen sits down.
Let me get my notes out. Let's see here. She goes over to the wall nearby, and as she's talking, her fingers kind of tracing out symbols, and where her finger is, light erupts as if she's drawing or writing, and it's a bunch of geometric figures. You're not quite sure what they all mean, but she's adding to them as she's talking. And she says, "Raz Nasi was one of the 7 Bere, the chosen of Ubtao. He was very loyal to the city of Mesro, that he defended with everything that he possessed. He was a bloody tyrant, good at what he did, murder and conquests. But when the time came for peace and prosperity, he fidgeted and could not find relaxation or peace. He wanted more land for Mesro. It was the golden city of Choltz. Ubtao smiled upon the city as it was a beacon of hope and light and peace, where man and elf and dwarf and dinosaur came together in prosperity. But like all things that are good and all things that are evil, it did not last. With the emergence of the spell plague hundreds of years ago, the city of Mesro was lost to time and was lost to space. The 7 Bere are bound to the city and can exist only as long as the city exists. Raz was exiled from the city due to his bloodlusts, fits of rage, and desire for power. He was stripped of his Bere title, a title that comes with the ability to live as long as the city exists, along with other powers of regeneration and divination. Raz was special out of the Bere in that he could animate the dead at will. He is the reason the jungles of Choltz have witnessed waves after wave of undead, the likes Choltz has never seen before. I believe he is searching for something. It is quite possible what he seeks is what you seek also. The last I saw him, he had left the city and turned its back on Mesro, which turned its back on him. He was a broken man. I'm not sure what lengths he would turn to regain what he had lost. I'm convinced that his love for Mesro still burns within him, although twisted and unlike the love that its citizens had for it. Tread very carefully, my young adventurers. And as she's been talking, she's been drawing a map of Choltz and where you are and the location that this lost city is. She also drew pictures of this lost city. Great spires, walls that reach towards the heavens, large gardens, districts, and you see citizens, dozens and hundreds of them. You know, as you look further and further into this picture that she has been drawing, it seems to zoom in on whatever you're looking at, and you can see the children's laughter and smiles and the flags on the buildings and the dinosaurs walking the streets alongside the townspeople, the citizens. She turns to you and she says, if you are to go up against Raz Nasi, then you should have these, and she reaches into that same chest that she has, and she says, I don't have much, and a lot of what I have are simple trinkets and tokens that adventurers left here, their packs too full to carry, promising to return to retrieve at a later date. Some did, but most did not. And she just kind of upends the chest, kind of kicks it over, and it spills out. And I will let everyone choose an item from a list of which I haven't quite determined yet, so get ready for that. And I have full veto power, so kind of pick something that would make sense for your character. You know, definitely pick something cool and powerful and shit like that. There's also other fun.
The raging sword of doom.
Yeah, Vorpal plus 3 Vorpal sword.
Vorpal?
It makes sense for Garrett's character because he can stab all the bad guys.
Talk about it with me, about your choice. Kind of give me like 3 sentences or so, like why and stuff like that.
Ebor with that magical armor.
And then also bear in mind that these are items that other adventurers left behind because their packs were too full. So yeah.
perfect idea. Let me just go ahead and crack open my Xanathar's Guide to Everything, you guys, because I have got the most useful thing.
Oh, don't worry. There's definitely some Xanathar items in here. There is a staff of adornment.
Staffs.
And that is essentially a very cool walking stick that if you put things at the top of it, they kind of float around the top head of the staff.
So like does like a little orbit, you know?
Oh, for sure. And you can put a bunch of little fun things like tokens and trinkets and useful items or fun little glowy rocks that you find.
I mean, what Blackjack has been missing this whole time is a spellcasting focus, so he could really start casting his spells.
Yeah, the barbarian fighter needs a
Yeah.
spell focus.
Yeah.
Go ahead and give me a investigation check, Blackjack.
Investigation check.
Okay,
12.
so you're gonna
12.
put the list
All right.
somewhere?
So you recognize, I'll read it off to you and I can always copy and paste it in as well.
Could you?
Yep. Blackjack, you recognize a little pouch. It's brown and it's got a little drawstring to it. And you
Bag of
recognize it as Heward's handy spice pouch.
Oh.
You, as the culinary master, your heart just kind of leaps in your chest as you recognize it, and you're furious that anyone would throw this away as useless. You know.
Is she looking at me right now? The druid?
She is. She's just kind of looking at the party, and is curious which items you'll reach for first.
Wait, we only have one thing that we can choose?
One actual good magic item, and then I have a list of things from Xanathar's Guide to Everything, just kind of like the fun kooky items.
Okay.
Let me
So,
quick post that in general, real quick.
So I'll look at the ones on D&D Beyond real quick, and because I think the one thing I want most is like probably something communication.
Okay. Ibor, you recognize the wizard hat. You've seen it before.
Oh, and I still have the hat of like disguise or whatever it's called.
Can I also crack open the Dungeon Master's Guide and look for stuff?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's kind of what I was leaning towards. Let me quick take a look at that myself and see which table y'all can like choose from.
Let's go over here
Let's see.
to artifacts,
Communication filter magic.
legendary.
There's like stones of sending stones.
You write something on it and you throw it at the person you want to receive the message.
Oh,
Read!
this bitch empty.
No, it works at any distance, so you write a message on it and you throw it, it just goes into the atmosphere. Don't get my message.
Okay, so crystal ball, telepathy, comprehending languages, helmet.
Oh, that's a good idea for a magic item. A stone of sending.
Wondrous item while you wear it to detect thoughts. Potion of animal friendship. Ooh. When you drink this potion, you can cast the animal friendship spell. Spell save DC 13 for 1 hour at will. Agitating this muddy liquid brings the little bits into view: a fish scale, a hummingbird tongue, a cat claw, or a squirrel hair.
You turn into an animal. You animorph.
Animal influence. Orangutan can use to expend one of the following spells: animal friendship, fear, or speak with animals.
Alright, alright, this is going to either make or break things. One person, who's it gonna be? Who feels lucky tonight?
Do I dare?
I am the luckiest man on earth, but it should probably be someone else.
Oh crap, I just closed Roll20.
I guess me. I'll do it. Fuck it. Let's
You're
go.
are you rolling a D100?
Garen will be rolling a D100, and if she does terribly, everyone can blame her.
Okay. Also,
Don't do it quite yet, because I accidentally closed Roll20. I don't want to see it happen.
Speaking
does-
of Roll20, could you make me a character sheet real quick? Thank you.
You have a character sheet. Let me link it to you so you have access to it.
Yeah, if she rolls bad, we all agree that we're murdering Garen, right?
Please don't murder Karen.
We're murdering Garen? Now you can come back as a cleric. That's good.
I don't want to be a cleric though. I like Karen.
Stupid!
Oh no.
What's the name of it? Is it Garen, Roman?
You don't have access to it quite yet.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We just decided I'm not going to be
In
the
this
campaign
in the
anymore,
in the
so you can have
meantime,
my character sheet.
go ahead and find a character, like a picture of what your character would look like, and something that you could use as a token as well. You could use the same picture as well.
All right, I'll make one, but for now I'll find one.
All right, Garen, are you ready to roll that D100?
Sure, I guess. Let's see what happens. Do we die or not? Let's find out.
Roll. Oh, that sucks.
38.
Nice.
All right. Okay. We're not gonna use that 38. I'm just gonna do a little DM fiat right here, and
that basically means you failed.
essentially magic item table C in the Dungeon Master Guide. If everyone has access to it, I'm gonna take just a screenshot and I'll put that in.
Yeah.
Oh yes, please do, because I'm not familiar with the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Alright, that's in general. That's kind of the idea of items to choose from. It's not exclusive to that list, but just kind of like showing you kind of like the strength level of something you could pick from.
So, okay, so let's see. Staff of Charming, Stone Speaker. Oh, I have an idea. Would it be possible for me to get the Sending Stones and also, let's see here. I'm thinking the Ring of Animal Influence, because I got an idea.
Okay, I will think about it. As far as the Sending Stones go, you find 1, 2, 3, 4. How many do Sending Stones come in? Like, how do those work? Do they come in pairs?
It says a pair. You get to some come in pairs. Each with a smooth stone carved to match the other, so pairing is easily recognized.
All right.
While you touch, oh yeah.
You find 2 stones. One of them is chipped heavily, and the other one seems to be half covered in a substance. It seems to be stained with what you suspect to be blood. But both bear a symbol on it of one has an ear and the other one has the similar ear, kind of like a hieroglyphic ear.
I kind of like look at these stones and kind of like blackjack catch. I throw one to him.
Cool.
I'm gonna check if they work. I kind of go to the opposite end of the cave and kind of talk to it and can you hear me?
Can I hear her? Him?
Yep, you certainly can.
Jaren?
You hear him as if she was standing right next, or he was standing right next to you.
Okay, so yeah, I will definitely take those. Can you give it back, please?
What?
And now, in order for this to work, there's several ways I can do this. There is the Ring of Animal Influence. There is the Potion of Animal Friendship, the Stone Speaker's Crystal, and there's also our good old friend the Druid here who could help me out with that.
Azaka, I always keep forgetting about her. Azaka goes up, and in a quiet voice, she says, I have no need for trinkets or items or anything like that. I just want to know, is my father truly dead? And this masked, or not masked, but this mysterious figure, she looks quite tired. This whole campaign has taken quite a lot out of her. And understanding the gravity of the question, she just kind of nods and she says, I will invoke the nature spirits. If he's in Schultz, alive or dead, I might be able to ascertain the answer to your question. If he's elsewhere, I'm afraid I won't receive a response. Azaka nods, knowing, a potential answer is better than none at all. And this figure goes into this trance again, not as wild as with Roman's question. And returns to normal, looking at Azaka, and she says, your father is in fact alive, but not much longer. It appears he is hurt, or injured, or at death's door. And Azaka is experiencing conflicted emotions. This whole time she thought he had died in the jungle and left her all alone. She's thrilled, but if she doesn't know where he is or how to help him, and if he's dying, what's even the point? It's as if she never knew in the first place. Just then, in the distance, everyone go ahead and roll perception checks.
Oh yes, we are under attack.
Perception. Let's see. Garen. And
12.
perception. 9.
All right, Ibor, your ears perk up, and you hear something strange. This sound, it warbles in the distance and catches and holds your attention, and it seems to. It doesn't sound like anything quite what you've heard in the jungle. It sounds almost musical at this point, as you kind of strain your eardrums pulled taut. Yes, it is music. What is that instrument? And then Blackjack and then you, Garen, you hear it too. The sounds of discordant wailing coming from outside the cave. What do y'all do?
Wailing?
Yep.
I don't like the sound of that.
That sounds friendly. I'll go and investigate.
Okay. Outside, you don't see anything, but the sound of this noise is louder and louder, and it just pierces you to the brain. It commands your attention, and it's hard to think of anything except that sound that just kind of shakes right through you. Are you gonna follow it?
I mean, do we have a choice in the matter?
You always have a choice.
I'm gonna go to the sound. Go, continue to the sound.
I guess I'll follow suit.
More into the forest.
Ibor?
I will follow, but behind them.
All right.
I'm out of unprompted.
As you approach, you see in the jungle, off from the distance, is a creature, a humanoid. It seems to be moving towards you as the sound is increasing, and it seems to be holding something to its chest, and its face seems to be occupied with whatever it's holding, and the noise seems to be animating from this sack of some sort. This is probably a good time for you to introduce your character. Any day now.
So you see this half man, half horse. It's kind of wearing what would be like, it's kind of like a half a kilt, where like the front part of his legs are covered. His body is like a chestnut brown. His skin is sun bleached. He has a just wild red hair and beard. Slung underneath one of his arms is a very old-looking pair of bagpipes. And strapped across his back is a very long and thin sword, sheathed. This is a person that likes to command attention.
I would certainly say you attracted some attention with that form of yours, because you are a horseman. Okay, so, I like looked at Blackjack as,
It sees us right now.
I mean, I don't know.
We should totally go try and ride on the back of that thing.
I think that would be a bad idea.
You think all my ideas are bad ideas? What the fuck?
This person doesn't seem to have noticed the three of you. He seems preoccupied with himself and seems completely self-absorbed in his music and the notes he's creating.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna wake up half the damn forest if he keeps playing. And I go over to him, hey!
God damn it! Damn it!
Oh
Come
my
on, make my
god!
gun!
The bagpipes drop from his lips, and he immediately pulls out the sword, points it at you. I ain't got no money for you, and you'll only find death.
I wasn't looking for any money, my friend. I just wanted to know why you're doing out here in the middle of the woods making a ruckus.
I walk my own course, friend, if you are such. What are you doing skulking in the bushes, if you aren't a highwayman?
And I just simply look him up and down, just like, well, wouldn't you come and investigate a man playing an instrument as loud as that is not even a full man? Like, I look down at his half horse, half, and quite frankly, I've never quite seen one of your kind before.
A robber skulks in the shadows. A warrior announces to all his presence.
And I look at my armor. Do I look like a robber to you? I tap my armor in front of him.
Anyway, I'm gonna roll a stealth check.
Okay.
There's a 9. If they see me, I'm like I'm like Pink Panther trying to skull through the bushes around to jump on his back.
I pinch my nose and I'm like, Blackjack, what in God's name are you doing?
God damn it, Garrett, you blew my cover!
So you are robbers.
No!
My
I just
friend,
wanted to ride on your back.
Sneaking up on me.
My friend
Yes.
here thought it would be a nice idea to try and ride you. I don't know why. I kind of like
Because-
look at him.
Because it's a horse, man.
You think me one of your beasts of burden.
You
You two-leggeds are really the lowest form of life.
Hey,
I'm not
I
gonna bark
might be
anymore.
short. Wait,
What?
I'm not short.
I just had two.
I might be having two legs, but at least I'm not. Karen, help me out here.
look, he's an
I'm
idiot.
out of material. Hey!
There's no fixing that. But regardless, we're not here to rob you. Are we dressed like robbers to you? Covered in full armor?
That armor could have belonged.
It belonged to.
And then the centaur disappeared. I should tell you that. Okay, do we have to describe our characters now?
This would be a good opportunity to do that, yeah.
Okay, Karen. my
Wow.
friend.
This is becoming quite rehearsed, you know? You guys should have your characters, like, completely thought out to, like, what color shoelaces they have and everything like that.
Yeah, I know. It's been a while since I've had to describe him, so I kind of forgot some
And then,
things
like,
I
the
used.
description can change over time. Like, my character in this game, like, his armor and his clothes are just getting dirtier and dirtier, and he's been picking up various accoutrements and, like, fixing them to his armor, stuff like that. He's becoming a little bit more tribal and savage.
So, you see before you a 7 foot tall, exactly, dragonborn fellow who is of green hue. He has hardened scales all over his face and body. And you notice that he is shirtless,
What, Nate?
without
How did you
shoes,
fuck
and
up
the only
Blackjack's
clothes
name
that
the other
he's
time?
wearing
You called him
are a
Blowjob.
pair of
I said
raggedy old
blowjob.
pants. He
Not
has
blowjob.
2 ram horns
I
on the
said-
side of his
I said
head,
Blowjob?
but the most
Blowjob,
striking
that's what it was.
feature is that above his
I was very
crimson
tired.
red eyes on the very
And everyone else was
uppermost
like,
back
hey,
part of his
Blowjack.
head,
I was like,
he
God fucking damn it.
he's dead
You're
now.
so
So I
mean to
guess
him.
I
whatever.
didn't do it on purpose. I swear.
What do you think is
No,
the
he's
best
fine. I
part?
like him the best out of everyone here.
Yeah, I do too.
Wait, why am I now at 38? I thought I was at.
It's bad.
Oh, did I change somebody's health?
Yeah, you kind of
You-
changed my health.
Oh, I'm
Hey, where
sorry.
are you-
I changed
where
the
are you-
wrong. I changed the wrong character's health.
I believe I was at 46.
Where'd the guy go?
Okay, I'll
you
fix it.
were at 48.
Oh, 48. Okay, 48.
Skeleton, where'd he go?
Oh. You hear me?
Yes.
Did you hear me a second ago?
Yes.
Yeah, you were at 48. Oh, the other guy dropped. I guess his internet conked out.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the horseman falls silent.
The horseman
Well,
is stunned by your responses.
hello.
Oh, the horseman's back.
Okay. So, Blackjack, would you like to go ahead and finish what you were saying?
So, anyway, tall green dragonborn guy, basically 2 ram horns, on the back of his head he has, this large unicorn horn that's like 6 to like 12 inches long. And that's about it.
Wait, I dropped out for a second. What are you describing?
Everything you just
character.
said, just describe it all over again. I'm sorry.
Okay. You see before you a 7 foot tall green dragonborn fellow with tough scales covering most of his body. You see that on the side he is shirtless and without shoes. He's simply wearing a pair of raggedy old baggy pants, stained with blood. And you notice that the most striking feature of his is that on the back of his head, he has this very prominent unicorn horn that glows with celestial light.
Okay.
Cool.
My turn.
10
Garen
feet tall.
is a 6'5" tall human man. In his 20s, he's got gray eyes. He's got semi-tan skin. Black hair with medium length. He's got full plate mail. A very shiny shield now, and a long sword that's strapped to his back to his side. It looks in a bag that's just full of things on his back.
Okay.
And yeah, so like you're like, while you're accusing us of being robbers, I'm like, Garen's just gonna be like, look, okay, I think we got off on the wrong foot, but I would appreciate it if you stopped making so much noise in these woods. You might attract a monster.
It's why I'm here, laddie. Need to find the toughest son of a bitch in these parts. Kill him for the glory of my clan.
You know, if you're looking to kill somebody, I happen to know the most powerful spellcaster in Jolt. If that pique your interest.
God.
I'm also looking to kill the most powerful spellcaster in Jolt.
Tell me more about this robe-wearing ninny.
Well, you see, and I... Wait, how tall are you?
That's actually a good question.
It's...
He actually probably towers a head taller than a lot of people. Not because he's tall for a centaur, he's actually kind of short for a centaur. He's probably in the 6'6" range.
Oh, okay.
So you're just a little bit above me.
But just a little bit below me.
Blackjack,
Yeah.
you have a good 6 inches on him.
I'll go up to him and I'll wrap my arm around his shoulder, and I'll...
Which I will immediately grab your hand and pull it off.
Go ahead and make
go ahead
and make opposed strength rolls.
I'm very good at this.
I don't think my character sheet is set up, so I'll just roll a d20 and tell you.
It's statted up, I believe. I added some base level stats to it.
Flat strength.
Yep.
Boom. 12. What the fuck?
You could do a strength saving throw if you would like.
Okay. Me?
Yep.
Okay. Yee. 16. What is up with my second rolls always being better than my first?
What did my username end up being? I don't see.
Oh, Blackjack, I'm sorry. You wouldn't do the saving throw because that's a reaction. So you would have the 12. Gustavo. Okay, you got a 14. All right. So you put your arm on him, and the centaur man is just like not about it, and kind of puts your arm down off of him.
All right. Not a fan of.
Don't.
Anyway.
Don't touch the man, please.
There's this man called Raz Nasi, and he's making a bunch of undead people, and we've been working our way through the forest to get to him, and I've just met with a druid. I don't know. I mean, for as wary as I am of strangers, I can appreciate a man who can play a good bagpipe.
Really now. I like look at him with like a little bit of like an eyebrow raised.
Maybe if you had presented yourself not with the people who had betrayed me, but with a pleasant song, I'd have an easier time trusting you, Garen.
You can make a guest appearance.
It's too late for that now.
Can I play the Monad?
Whatever. I'm not being a part of this anymore. I'm going back in the cave.
I'm Monad.
This necromancer fella sounds like a... Is he powerful?
Well, he created all of these undead and chult, so yes. Finger guns.
Sounds like the proper challenge for a mighty warrior.
What was the most powerful undead thing you've come across so far, Blackjack?
Well, the T-Rex, right?
Yeah. Before Chult, Blackjack hasn't seen any fucking undead. You kidding me? He lived in like hillbilly town.
I don't know. Maybe your character describes what he's seen so far that roamed that was undead, that roamed these jungles.
Yes. We've also seen men who are 20 feet tall, undead, 4 arms. Of course, I took him down barehanded. Garen, he's not here right now. Garen was too busy hiding to actually get in combat, but I flex. I say, good thing I was there to save the day.
No women in this campaign.
Whatever, I'm done.
Well, she's playing a douche.
No, there's no women in the story.
Well, they're having
There's
that
an NPC,
conversation. I
that's
want
a
to go
trait.
back down into the cave and like.
That's it. No.
So
no
do I not
player.
find
I'm
a
sorry.
ring of animal influence by any chance? It's a rare item.
Unmute it.
I would imagine a druid of all people would have an animal-related item.
I know what item I'm getting. It's uncommon, so I'm pretty sure I can get it.
The sending stones are already uncommon. The ring is rare.
Ebor, you're still with the group, right?
Yeah, Ebor hasn't done anything yet. He has been.
Ebor is still sitting there in the cave with
No.
my earplugs in.
No.
I came out and I'm listening to you talk to this centaur, and I'm just speechless as always.
Ebor, what does your character resemble?
I'm a human male, about 5'10", bald hair with a starburst tattoo on his forehead, kind of a mustache and goatee, wearing a dirty red robe.
Starburst as in the candy, not as in...
Yeah, there's a banana flavored Starburst on his head. You got it.
Stapled. So, I'm gonna return to the cave, and I'm gonna say, wait here. And I'm gonna go back in, and I'm gonna... Can I get the winged boots, Mr. DM?
I'm gonna give that a hard pass. Let's see here. Let me read it actually.
Let me fly!
Let's see here. You can fly up to 4 hours all at once in several shorter flights, each one using a minimum of 1 minute from the duration you're flying. The duration expires. You send a rate of 30 feet per round until you land. You also have to remember that these are items that other adventurers had left behind.
What's this cave full of trinkets?
Go ahead. Between this session and next session, kind of come up with a reason why you would need those boots and what you could use it for, and why you think these items were left behind.
Alright, fuck it. Instead of that, why don't I just... Someone would obviously have left behind a trident of fish command when we need to fight fish again, because I'm so good with fish. Just give me that.
Alright, you got it.
Okay,
it's
so
yours.
Thank you.
My reasoning... Okay, listen, so I think that since it's a rare item, it's not really that special. And I'm sure like whoever would have this would probably already have access to this stuff at that point. So it's like, oh, I don't need this ring anymore. I can already talk to animals and stuff like that. And yeah.
All right. The ring is yours, Garen.
Yay!
Yes.
Now for part 2 of my plan.
Oh no!
Wait.
So,
I didn't expect further complications.
so, Garen's gonna take a step outside. Do I, well, actually, could I ask the druid if there's any, like, potentially I could talk to, like, a bird or something?
The druid whistles a tune that seems to pierce through the lands and air, and it seems unnaturally loud. And a colorful bird of paradise flies into the mouth of the cave and lands on the druid's shoulder.
Okay. And I put on the ring and I use one of the charges to talk to animals. And I, like, look at this bird and I say, "Hello, friend."
Hello.
Oh God, here we go.
I, like, kind of, like, look at it. You wouldn't happen to, be able to carry something like, say, this size? And I hold out one of the stones.
It kind of cocks its head at you.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking good. Okay. And then I go, perfect. And, like, I kind of, like, think for a second. I would like you to fly to Port Nyazaru and find a woman by the name of Rana and give this to her if you would be able to.
No!
What the? What is this?
Do you not know where that is?
No!
I, like, think for a second.
You suspect that this bird, you know, it probably hasn't traveled too far from, like, the square acre that, you know, it was summoned from. But perhaps you find something a little bit more intelligent. You know, you could probably get your plan to go off.
Blast it.
Rom intelligent!
Rowan Oak would like to look in the cave at these trinkets.
Okay, I thank the bird. Thanks for listening, I suppose. It was worth a shot. Yeah. I kind of, like, scritch it under the beak, like, you know, kind of, like, give it a little pet. And I kind of, like, walk back over to, like, the entrance and sit down.
You're beginning to realize maybe this is the reason why adventurers left this ring behind.
I'm surprised it didn't poop on you.
What? Oh no.
Birds.
Okay. That makes sense. I thought that my trident of fish command did additional damage, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" But it's actually just used to dominate fish.
DM, can I look around this cave and see if I find anything? Or is this something I've not earned?
Banned.
There is a shield of expression on the ground. It currently has a face that is of pure terror, you know, just kind of frozen in place. You see an orb, and it's trying to roll in a certain direction. It's kind of rolling. It's you see it actually rolling away from you right now, further into this, like, this cave area, and this cave is not so much a cave as it's kind of like an old ruins, an old city that seems to be underground, or like part of it at least. And this orb seems to be rolling away from you. Ebor, go ahead and give me an intelligence check. Alright. So that was a personal DC, and I didn't set it very high. You actually notice that it is, as you kind of go up to it and look at it, it seems to be rolling uphill.
Wait, so what's rolling uphill?
The small blue orb. It's like glass almost, but you can't see through the other side.
I will touch it with the butt end of my staff.
It rolls in the direction that you poked it, and then continues rolling in the same direction as before.
All right, I'll pick it up.
Okay, it's about the size of kind of like a shooter marble from like regular game of marbles.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's smooth, blue, and doesn't give off any light. But while it's in its hand, it doesn't seem to do anything.
I will detect magic on it.
Okay. So as you detect magic on it, kind of focus your thoughts. You pull out a pearl from your pockets and you kind of roll it between your index finger and your thumb while concentrating on the item in your other hand, this blue orb. And you realize this is an orb of an orb of direction. It always rolls north, and if you concentrate on this orb while you're holding on it, you mentally know where north is. I think there is more to it, but that's the biggest thing.
Okay.
You also notice that there's like a ram's horn on the ground as well.
There's ram's horns on the ground.
Yep, like where those pile of items was knocked over, like from the chests.
I look at Blackjack to make sure his are still attached.
They definitely are.
Wait, what?
Your horns.
Oh. Yeah, they fell off. Oh no.
My horn.
I will inspect those.
Okay. I imagine you're using detect magic on it as well.
Yeah, that lasts for a while, so I could detect magic on everything around here.
Nice. Oh, this isn't so much a identify spell, but you do realize that this horn is magical. Yes. Do you have the identify spell by chance?
I don't think that I do.
Okay, that's all right.
I have it.
Walls feather. Walls feather.
Go ahead and give me an Arcana check to see if you know this item.
Anyway, wait. I lean in to Garen and I go, are we gonna be leaving soon?
Yes.
Getting kind of antsy in my pants.
Azaka goes up to this mysterious figure. She just kind of hobbles on her wooden leg that's kind of been carved for her below the knee, and she says, "Can you do anything about this?" Kind of gesturing down with one hand to the clawed wooden foot, with designs that she's whittled into the dark red wood, glyphs and scenes and faces and tribal marks and things like that. The druid says, "I will do what I can," and she gestures for Azaka to lie down on her back, and like Mr. Miyagi, she claps her hands together and rubs them slowly and places them on the thigh above the wounded leg, and you see the flesh start to bubble as if heated and melting, and it extends from the knee. The wooden leg is pushed off and clatters away with the force of something growing quite rapidly as a leg is being formed. Azaka screams out, is like opens her mouth to scream out in terror, and this cloaked figure from within her cloak pulls out a piece of wood and quickly places it between her teeth, kind of muffling the screams, something to bite down on, as you hear bones crunching and popping and tendons being stretched taut. The whole process takes about a minute, and at the end of it, Azaka, it takes 14 hours. Yep.
Constant pain.
Constant pain. Yep. And Azaka's just drenched in sweat, but her leg mirrors the other, and she stands up, taking a shaky first step, and kind of pokes and prods at it with her fingers and in amazement, and gives this figure a big hug. The figure doesn't really reciprocate at all, but just kind of lets it happen. The figure turns to everyone there, and she says, I understand that you are on a journey where time is pressing and haste is all important. You sacrificed some of your precious time to help me, a total stranger who knows nothing about myself. For this, I bestow upon you one last gift. And she goes to everyone there, and with her index finger lightly touches the forehead of everyone there, assuming everyone in the party accepts it.
I do.
licks her finger and sticks it in the ears of each of the party.
Licks her finger and places it inside the ear canal of each and every.
I grab her hand and go, I like you, but we just met.
She's not actually gonna do that.
So you're
I
stopping
hope
this. The centaur, you're reaching up and stopping this.
Stopping her from touching.
Yeah.
She says, very well. That is your wish. And continues with Azaka and Roman. And as she gets to Azaka, Blackjack, you've noticed that you started to turn a little more translucent, as if you're starting to fade away from existence.
Mr. I don't feel so good.
Get it. I do not feel so good.
Garen, you kind of bend over. This experience is, it does not feel pleasant at all. As you're bending over, the feet beneath you give out, and you fall to your knees, and you look down, and where your legs were below the knees is gone, and your hands, you look up, are gone at the wrists, and it seems like this vanishing virus is spreading up your limbs, and you turn and look, and the same effect is being dealt to everyone else in the party. As you kind of cry out in terror,
oh no, I'm fine.
You're fine with this? All right, fair enough. Is anyone in terror?
Garen faces all things with courage,
Oh, of course.
I withdraw my sword and point it at the druid.
I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna run.
As you're running, you seem to be getting shorter and shorter as your limbs give away, and you see this white mist kind of coming off of your form, and as you breathe excitedly, huffing to get away, more and more of this mist spills out of your mouth, and is coming off of your eyes and your face, and you're becoming more and more mist-like. And eventually your form gives way to something without shape, and your vision goes dark for a second. Everyone's there except for you, the centaur. And
Alright, guys, we're all characters.
Centaur, what are you doing?
I have my blade drawn. I'm pointing it at the druid, and I cast haste on myself,
Okay.
preparing for, what kind of devilry is this? Wait, the druid. Is it a woman, a man?
It's a
What does
woman.
she kind of look like?
It's a woman.
I will
What-
pull up.
What kind of spellcraft is this witch? I point my sword at her, ready.
To slay.
Ooh, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm like, you're not long for this world if you don't answer me quick.
She raises one hand and she says, "Peace, friends. I mean you and your friends no harm." And Garen and Ebor, Blackjack, your vision goes from black to normal, and you look around at yourself, and where your body would be is nothing but a pale cloud of mists and smoke, gaseous vapors,
Whoa.
just kind of floating in place.
Wait, so we can float?
Yep.
Okay, I float up a little bit high. Can I like control it? Can I like fly a little bit higher or something?
As you concentrate, it's as if your form listens to your very thoughts, and you rise up 10 feet in the air.
Ooh. I can see Blackjack and Ebor, right?
You can see where they were at one point, but where they stand now, or should I say hover, you see a cloud of mist and vapor, the vague form and outline of Ebor and Blackjack. You can see what appears to be the horn of Blackjack, and
Just a floating horn. Okay.
Wait, is it just the horn?
no,
Or
it's
is it
not.
like...
It's not just the horn. It's your form, but it's cloudy and mist-like.
Okay, so I say I try to speak, I guess, and I say Blackjack.
As you try to talk, no words issue from your form.
Okay. Well, I'm
Do
gonna
I-
think this is weird.
Do I see their misty forms, or do I watch these people disintegrate into smoke?
Oh, you definitely see all these people disintegrate into smoke, and you see these misty forms. Yep.
Okay, I do. 5 seconds, witch, before I carve you a blood eagle.
She says, "In this form, you should be able to reach the destination you seek. It is not convenient as the gift you are given by the Arakocran people, but it is the best that I can do."
Oh, okay.
Do I believe her?
Roll an insight check.
Wait, so are we still have like our armor, or is it also gas? And like all of our stuff.
Everything on your person turns into mist as well.
And it's gone forever. We're all
You don't.
naked now.
You do not believe her at all.
Fuck. I don't want him to. I don't want him to stab her.
It's too late.
I don't know if I can do anything though.
I still pointing my sword at her, point at one of the misty forms, probably Ebor, and I go, "What is this? What did you do to them?"
She says, "I have converted them to vapor. With this, they can glide through the sky as deftly as the winds. It lasts for a day. And you're not sure if she's speaking metaphorically or physically. And she says, "It is the final gift I bestow to you all. Will you accept it, young centaur?"
I like try to like, can I like try to make like a thumbs up gesture like
Give
so they
me
can't talk.
a dexterity check. Or no. Give me a wisdom check to see if you can hold your form together and try to get some detail out in your hands, you know.
Let's see.
You concentrate really hard trying to form a thumb
Just a
and a
straight
fist.
wisdom?
Just straight wisdom, yep.
Pew.
Nope. It's going to
Nope.
take some time before you fully master this form.
Okay.
I'm
You
gonna
give a thumbs up and it just
slowly-
looks like it'll just look like you're sticking your arm out.
I'm gonna back out of the cave, like a few feet out of it. I have pull out some like knuckle bones, and I'm gonna try and consult me ancestors and see what they think of the situation.
Okay.
Because I don't know what the hell's going on here. I don't know what that'd be.
For that, go ahead and roll me a straight d20. You'll get the higher the number, the more specific an answer you'll get. I'm just kind of pulling this out of my butt right now. I don't know if we're going to continue doing this or if I need to like refine this mechanic that I just now implemented. The knuckle bones, you kind of look at them. You look at the etchings and rune symbols that are facing upwards from the different, pelvis and tibia and fibias of frogs and small amphibious creatures. And it seems like this person is genuine. And it seems like this person, like you look at one of the knuckle bones and it kind of says, like, friend of animals. Which doesn't, that particular symbol doesn't come up too often.
I kind of scoop them up, put them back in their little pouch. I know what I have to do. I walk back into the cave. Is there anything in the trinkets I noticed walking in?
It seems like those have all just been scooped up. I kind of picked out some things that were specific for the characters that we already had. I'll throw in like maybe 2 or 3 more that folks might enjoy, and if anyone has any particular things from the common items of Xanathar's Guide to Everything, please by all means let me know.
Oh yeah, I have Xanathars. Let me check.
I saw something on that magic item table C that piqued my interest, but it's of the rare variety, so it might not be suitable.
All right, what is it?
I don't even know if it applies at all, but it's the Horseshoes of Speed. You put them on a horse, and it gives it 30 extra movement speed.
Yo, that's actually really clever.
I will think about it, but I'm probably thinking at this point no at first glance, but we'll see.
Let's see. So there's.
All right. Either way, I go up, I sheath my sword, and I look. Are the misty forms? Can I see which way they're facing? Or are they just kind of misty form?
They're very
looking
amorphous. They kind of have like vague humanoid shapes. You can kind of tell who is who based on the size.
I'm slowly spiraling in a circle.
Oh, for sure.
I'm just like kind of like flap, like just kind of like trying to like, I stretch my arms out like every now and then, like.
in this
Weird.
form, you don't have like a sense of gravity at all, and you don't have a sense of like what is up and what is down. It's kind of fun and unique in a way. It's a little disconcerting, but you know, the feeling will probably pass as you get used to it.
All right, I'm like, I kind of turn to the forums. I'm like, turn away, you pervy twits. And when I'm kind of like, wait a few seconds, I turn. I kind of bow to the woman. I go, my ancestors mock me for my foolishness.
She says, "That is quite all right. Wise of you to consult those who have gone before." And she kind of places a hand on your head, and your form dissolves into mist. All right, so I think this would be a good place for us to end the session for tonight, just because we have a new character. Um,
Mhm.
I guess.
Apologies for showing up so late to this. I was supposed to be here like an hour ago. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
It's
That's
fine.
fine.
Do we still want to continue playing Monday nights at this time, or is there a more appropriate night of the week? And are people okay with an earlier time?
I'm okay with an earlier time.
Mhm. Same here.
All right. So how early is early?
Like, I don't care. I could be up forever. We're all tired.
Yeah. I don't have anything on Mondays for sure. So if we do
Well,
anything earlier,
wait. I have. Because we're probably going to be playing this when my school starts again. So, what is. What is 1 o'clock? The earliest I can do is 12 a.m. or 1 p.m. MST. Wait. 1
let's see. Wand of Smiles.
1 o'clock p.m. MST.
Okay.
Target.
What is NST?
No, wait. I don't mean 1 o'clock p.m. MST. I meant 2 o'clock because that's 1 o'clock in my time.
Oh, MST, Mountain Standard Time. Um, so we start at 9:30 Central. That's we did. That's what we've been normally starting today. We kind of started today at like 10:15 Central. Um, Basically, do you want to start an hour earlier, or is is like an hour good if we start just like an hour earlier?
I can do an hour earlier.
Yeah, I'm good at an hour earlier than it was. But anyways, I've got a jet. Thanks for running the game. I'll see everyone next time.
Okay,
Bye.
sounds good.
Bye.
Talking dog. Staff of Flowers. Lots of flowers sprout from a patch of earth or soil within 5 feet of you, or from the staff itself. Hmm.
Oh boy, I have a new person I'm gonna
The
murder. That's real
flower
fun.
is harmless and non-magical and grows and withers as a normal flower would. Hmm. Ideas. Staff of Bird Calls. I can combine it with my combo. Staff of Bird Calls. Call a bird. Staff. Use the ring of animal communication.
Wait,
What class is everyone?
Fighter.
Garen is pure fighter. Blackjack is, I believe, fighter for men. Um, Ebor is an evil, and um, what's his face? Is he still in the group? Oh fuck! Did he leave?
I'm not sure if Roman left or not. He's got a lot of personal family stuff going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he left the group. Looks like he did.
Ruby allows you to use a simpler martial weapon as a spellcasting focus for your spells.
No,
I
look
don't need
in
that. A rope
in
mending,
the
don't need that. Pot of Awakening.
in
Tenclo.
Ooh, Pots of Awakening is a fun one.
in
Shrub magically transforms into Awakened Shrub. Oh!
It's
in the
like a
right hand
like a pet.
side, it says that he's not in the game anymore.
Absent commands from you, it does nothing. So you get like a little shrub plant. It's like a little shrub pet, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a
Wait,
chia pet that actually does pet things.
wait,
That would be cute.
Mr.
Anyway, I think I'm gonna get going here, but Rono Nickel Flaherty is a wizard too.
Oh.
Yeah. We've been told you're a a blade singer.
God
Yeah,
damn it! We have 2 wizards, 2 fighters, 1 cleric
I'm
who's left the game.
I would classify it as a blade singer. I'm gonna try and specialize in like a skirmishing, just running all over the place and keeping
Speak to command.
people.
Transforms into a fishing pole. Pipe of smoke monsters.
Anyway, I'm gonna get going here, but for the few minutes I've been in here, I look forward to next time.
Mhm.
See you, fella.
Lock of trickery. Lock appears to be an ordinary lock and comes with a single key. The tumblers of the lock magically adjust to
Oh,
thwart burglars.
oh yeah, Garen, would you be cool with murdering? Would you be okay with murdering the Red Wizards, torturing the Lino Shadow Mantle, and destroying all their allies and things like that order?
I would allow the very least if since you said that they were that what he got from it was like a bad organization, right?
Yes. However, I'm the only person who knows this because I
Yeah.
made everyone else
Unfortunately,
go away.
unless I know for sure that they're evil, I probably won't help you. Just because he's not for just pure murder, unless of course you tell me they're evil. And torture isn't a no-go for Garen as well. So just straight up ending them quickly is how he would.
Maybe for you, but I'm chaotic good, so it's fine. It's for the greater good. It's
You have
giving
to.
back.
You're
Reap what
gonna
you
have to.
sow.
You're gonna have to work your magic and talk me through, like talk me down, basically.
My magic.
Perfume of bewitching.
Wait,
For the
I'm not.
duration, you have to vanish on all charisma checks towards
Wait,
humanoids.
I'm level 6 now, right? We're level 6?
Yep.
Okay,
Oh
that
my
is.
god, there's quite a few interesting items here. I'm
I'm
not gonna
actually
lie.
fighter 5 barbarian 1. I understood. Excuse me.
While holding this orb, you can use the action to determine whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, or nighttime outside. What? You can change the time of day?
What? Wait, what was this item?
Orb of Time in Xanathars.
Oh fuck, that sounds good.
It's a common item that lets you change the time of day. You can choose to determine whether it's a morning, an afternoon, an evening, or nighttime outside while holding it using an action. It only works on the material plane though.
Hmm.
I think it just
It,
determines if it's morning, afternoon, evening, or nighttime.
it just tells you.
Wait,
It's
okay.
like.
It's the way I read it, I think. Okay, so it might just be determined. Because I was about to say, like, a common item lets you change the time of day?
Good.
While holding this orb while using action to determine, yeah, that's the same thing. Mystery key.
I'm honestly just really content with my trident of fish control.
I ran a campaign for my brothers, and my brother was it was a piratey themed campaign, and it only went to one session, but the captain of the ship that they were captured on and they were prisoners on had the trident of fish command, and he was commanding a bunch of fish people to come up and help him out, and they got that trident, and then my younger brother was so excited, and then we never ended up playing anymore at all.
Oh
Aw.
Yep. So
man,
it's a cool little thing.
Let's see.
Our-
Instrument evolution.
our party is so fucked. Like we have the worst team layout ever.
Hereward's handy spice pouch, which is what you got. Had a wizard 3. Had a vermin. Esrat's eye.
Next character I'm gonna play, I'm gonna be a druid. Just to even it out, just to get a single wisdom class in here.
Any
Just
spell
one.
book along with anything that's written in the page that
Wait.
is damaged by fire or immersion in water. Ear horn of hearing. Dread helm. Jesus. Dark shard amulet. This amulet is fashioned from a
Hold
single shard of
phone.
warlock from the realm of your warlock patron. while you're wearing it. Bleh. Close of mending, clockwork amulet,
Come on.
cloak of many fashions, charlatans. Okay, so there are three items that interest me the most right now that I can read from Xanathar's. There are the staff of bird calls, the staff of flowers, and the perfume of bewitching.
Perfume and bewitching.
All of these are sound would be good. Staff of bird calls just to go with my combo, my 3-hit combo. Staff of bird calls to call a bird, use the ring to talk to the bird, and then have it carry the sending stone once I find one that can actually do it.
Okay, my next character when Blackjack eventually dies is gonna be a druid ranger.
Okay, that'll be cool.
I've
A
already
staff
determined.
of
That's
flowers.
what's
Those subjected to the perfume's effect are now aware that they've been influenced by magic.
I'll explain more later. All right. You guys can figure that out more later tonight. Just a reminder that there is a campfire RP in the Discord.
Oh, okay. Actually, I already know. I think I want the staff of flowers more.
Staff of flowers. All right, you got it.
Yeah.
Wait, so Roman is actually gone.
It seems like it. He's got a lot on his plate right now.
Yeah. Understandable. Close all that. Okay, write down staff of flowers. I am a fighter on a mission.
Nope.
Fighter. I like how Blackjack, your mission now is to murder all these people, and then Garen's just over here like, I want to talk to someone in specific.
I want to talk to birds.
I have this interesting idea that I want to follow through for him, cause I am on a pretty much determined path to get this done now.
What?
Give me 1 second and I'll tell you, cause I need to close a few things here. Close that and close this. Okay. So.
All right, we'll see if. Let me know what days this week y'all are also available. We could also have like another session later this week since this one was kind of short.
Oh, okay.
I'll post something in general tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. The only days I don't have I have a problem with it would be Tuesday and Thursday. That's about it. Everything else is fine.
All right.
But yeah. So Blackjack, my plan, involves getting the stone to Rana, the NPC we met in the forest. Remember?
Yeah. Rana.
Yes. That villager.
Witch.
She's not a witch.
Cursed us.
She was a villager.
Okay, whatever you say, gang.
It may or may not involve the fact that he likes her.
Alright, well, I'm going to get going. Thank you so much for playing, y'all.
Yeah, it was fun, like always.
Thank you for Dungeon Mystery.